Next slide. Too, if that's okay. Is that okay? We record this?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool, cool.
I got you, guys.
Next one, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's for you.
You want to hear?
Yes, yes. Yes.
Thank y'all. We appreciate y'all once again for just being here and all that. Alex just talked about the hope. Corey talked about the ancestors, what we stand on. And I just want to take y'all through the journey. I know a lot of y'all heard this already. We done wrote reports. We done wrote all types of, what you call it? Kind of got like a brain fart, whatever. But yeah, we wrote a lot. But H.O.L.L.A got a 20-year journey, man. We in May 17, what's today? May 17, May 18? May 18th. Me and Corey met like around May 18th, maybe, on Rikers Island. So that's why you see Rikers Island here. We met back in 2002 on Rikers Island. I'm just two young people, 20, 21 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Just journeying and all of that. You know? Just on Rikers Island, facing real cases, facing real time, and also just not even understanding why we inside there. We knew we was in the streets, we knew we was playing in a certain lifestyle. We didn't know what we knew as we continue to get older and get more educated. That's when a lot of things fell out. This is the journey from 2002 to 2004, this Rikers Island journey. Me and Corey used to build chess, basketball. Yo, I'm about to get married, son. And I'm like, you mad young, what you get married for? You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't make no sense. Like, you know what I mean? Don't do that because you just in jail and all that. You gonna carry this woman. Like, nah, I really love her. This is my wife. I'm about to get married. I'm like, damn, I ain't never heard nobody my age even talk about marriage. At 20, 21 years old, we wasn't talking about that, right? But we always shared. We knew that we had a real friendship. I was able to say that to him, and he was about to have a child. I had a child. He was already asking me how to be, what is a father like, you know what I'm saying? How old is your child? So pictures and all that. He's showing pregnant stumps. I'm showing my son just how I was on him in the streets, you know what I mean? And that's Rikers Island. Fast forward, we get separated through the jail chattel system and all that. I go up north, he go up north, we get separated. 2006, 2007, we land back in a jail called Otisville Correctional Facility. I'm walking out the mess hall. He like, yo, Angel, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, turn, and he right there. I'm like, oh, shoot. And I gave him a big hug, almost caught a ticket and all that, you know what I'm saying? But a real brother, we did a spin around the yard, realized we still was on that same type of time. At this time, H.O.L.L.A was being created inside prison, inside the Blue Room, with our other brothers, the Marlos, the Shack, the Butter Labs, Spuds. From then, we was building H.O.L.L.A inside prison. We knew that we wanted to reach out, be with young people, be with our community. We knew that we wanted to do something. We knew it started while we was inside. So all the skills we were learning, all of the circles we was having, we knew we wanted to bring that out because our family was asking us for help. Our family was asking us for energy while we was inside prison. The hope, right? Boom, we get out of town. The jail had us on the side of the hole, but we get out of town, 2009, 2010, we find ourselves in my whole Bridges Academy, Brownsville, doing volunteering work with young folks, right? And that's pretty much where our mentoring skills was kicking in. With the hopes that we had inside prison, our vision we had inside prison, but we actually put that into practice now. We in the streets with our young people, taking them on trips to different colleges, taking them on trips to new neighborhoods and all that. Let them see in their own neighborhoods how they can be effective, right? We had to take our step back. We had to look at ourselves. And everything I'm talking about is about how we've been incubated inside multiple spaces throughout the time that we've been in existence. Spaces was inside prison. And for the Blue Room, we had to ask for permission to actually use the Blue Room just to be able to talk and be underground and actually do our work. Using these other spaces, these are just spaces that we were able to hold down through our relationship, through our kinship, and through who we always are as a people. NYU, this is Corey going to NYU. We was able to hold down, lock up spaces inside NYU, inside the graduate center, because we didn't have our home, you know? So the late days, the late nights up inside these spaces, we were still able to create programs, create ideas, create formation to how we wanted to do it. Connecting definitely with our big brother, Ellis, and definitely the sense of what we love dearly and all that. We came into like kind of a partnership, you know what I'm saying? Corey was a little boy over there, I'm upset. And through 2016, 2019, This is where we met April. Well, this recording met April. We had a meeting with April and all that. At the time, I was definitely working with artists for like many years, just journeying as a perfect messenger with the artists program. So when we was able to have a conversation with April, who met us, well, met Corey through somebody else. I forgot to say the name who put you on and said you need to meet Corey.
My school, somebody at my school, I did a presentation at my school and they connected me to you.
Yeah, so we was able to get a meeting.
It was Cara, I think Kara, the research on young people applying to college.
Right, so.
Not Karen Pete.
No, it's an organization called Cara.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
That would be a whole different story.
We heard Corey speaking, and they're like, oh, you need to meet April and all that. So then when we set up this meeting, it ain't no different at that time. It was Julie at the time. But yeah, this just relationship. So when she sees this big hug, hey, Rocks, hey, what up? Corey, yo, I've heard a lot about you. Let's talk. And at the time, once again, it's still incubation. She's like, yo, y'all got a program right up there. What y'all got? You know what I'm saying? And like, yo, come back to me, you know, this, that, third. But I have to say, April and Echo and Green was our first funders, right? First funders in 2016. At the time, we were like, yo, we started a program regardless if we get funded or not. We already knew, like, yo, we got to do this. We started our program in 2016 before we even had funding. Moving on, from 2016 to 2019, we created the Healing Justice Movement with our young people. Alex graduated from our program with a bunch of other young people that was just fire. They was going around the community, going around the world, being able to practice healing justice and do a lot of good work. The documentary didn't even come out at that time, but it was cooking up. It was going to come, you know. It was already in the cooking phase. At this time, we moved from a different place. Now we inside Family House. We up in the Field House. We up in G Basement, just organizing, underground organizing, you know. Of course, COVID come in, right? All the spaces get closed down. Everybody's going to need more. In the Zoom world. So now Zoom is coming in, as we see. And we have the Pearl Legacy space with our sister Quasia, you know, that was here. Beautiful sister and all that. You know what I'm saying? She reached out like, yo, I heard y'all need a space to like do something else. Yo, I got a space over here, come up with me, you know? And then now we have the People's Church. So this is just our journey of what's name. We got Corey Alex and plus I was like, man, there's been a lot of people out there, you know, that doing work. But I say that to say all of this is just the hopes about this incubation of just H.O.L.L.A. Still talking about we need a space, still talking about we need to be journeying, still talking about how can y'all help us out getting this, how y'all help us out planning this, what can we do as a brainstorm.
Thank you. With this timeline, I just want to give some more spirit to this. You go back. Just want to give some more spirit to this. This is not just like, oh, you know, us being incubated, but literally we making possibilities from nothing. Every time you see us going through something somewhere else, there's mad things happening. We done created the Healing Justice Movement with no money. 200 circles, reaching out to over 100 organizations, 200 healing circles. We created an album, a documentary, and even right now, we are doing 7 neighborhood healing practices in Brownsville, in Bed-Stuy, Crown Heights, East New York, Lower East Side, South Side Jamaica, Queens, in Harlem, and we're doing grassroots movement work. We was just at a memorial for our sister Kathy, but we've been doing work with Kathy for years. We've been doing work, abolition work, national abolition work. You see our book. This we help create lessons in liberation with other abolitionists around the country who is doing educational abolition work, who is teaching and giving trainings to schools and inside prisons about how to be abolitionists. And even, we was just talking about 4 pivots, right? We even been building with our brother, Sean Jemwright, and communicating about healing. How do we make our relationships transformational and not transactional? And even in this book, you'll see 2 of our organizer stories about the healing work that we do. So all of our work and all this context, us creating possibilities. And the reason why we say this, I want to say Malcolm X quote, "We as a people have done so much for so long with so little. We as H.O.L.L.A done so much for so long with so little that we are now qualified to do anything with nothing. We go to blocks, yo, we just go get it. Like, yo, anything with nothing. Real stuff. Real stuff. Like, this meeting right here, it don't matter. Like, people asking us, like, yo, you need a campaign? Like, yo, Alex, Corey, actually, we have this meeting. People's telling us we have this meeting. Y'all shouldn't even be the ones to talk. We don't even got somebody to pay for us not to talk. You understand? That don't make no sense. So literally, we is required to do anything with nothing. So always shoot for the moon, because even if we miss, you will always be amongst the stars. Malcolm X. And it's our ancestor's birthday tomorrow.
Shout out to Malcolm.
So it was important that we brought our ancestors in the building. And it's important that we brought this quote because we're going to keep going. If nobody support us today, tomorrow, we're going to still shoot for the stars. Because we do not, we see the unseen. The things that people can't see. We do the things that people are tired of doing. The things that people don't want to do. Especially Corey. You understand? So I'm just really expressing that we create possibilities from nothing. And I don't see a lot of people do that. And that's important for us to just emphasize. And now, just want to break down some updates about SMT before we just go into our build. And I just want to do this real quick. So over the last year, as Corey said, we've been really engaging in our capital campaign. One of the areas we've been really engaging in is building with our funders about our program, about running our next cohort. And obviously we can't run a next cohort without space. So we've been building with other organizations about incubation. Now we about to be incubated in the People's Church. Anybody know the People's Church? That was the place where the young lords, when it took over. They went and talked to the pastor, was like, yo, y'all church open 7 days a week, but y'all only really doing services 1 day a week. We might as well use this space. You see this room right here? When we came to this room, I was like, nobody using this room? I had to ask the people downstairs, like, yo, can we prep earlier in this space? They was like, nah, y'all only booked it for like the time y'all booked it for. And they made it seem as if somebody was already in here using this space. So when we came upstairs and nobody was using this space, I was like, yo, y'all acting like somebody was already here. So this is what we mean about space, the uses of space. We cannot have empty space and not get used. From our communities, we got people who are homeless. People's talking about this homelessness problem. And we got now mad police on the trains, violating Black and brown people, locking up homeless people. But not understanding, we got enough space for everybody. There's enough space for H.O.L.L.A actually. And we need to fight for that space. So understanding that we've been sustaining our relationships through incubation. A-Rox was just saying, last year also, we was in Brownsville. We was incubated in Brownsville at the Henry Jackson Center. Shout out to Brownsville. Shout out to Pure Legacy. The Gregory Jackson Center. And the most biggest thing is that last year we did an internship with our young people so that we could, one, teach them the non-traditional approach to social and criminal justice created by the Greenhaven think tank. Thank you, Eddie Ellis. Thank you, Larry White. Exactly. And what we did was we went around those 7 neighborhoods, Brownsville, Bed-Stuy, East New York, Southside Jamaica, Queens, South Bronx, Harlem, Lower East Side, and we mapped out the abandoned places in that neighborhood. So we're not gonna just come to this conversation and be like, yo, y'all been looking at space. Y'all even been looking at spaces. Nah, we mapped out spaces. And now we need to organize, how do we go get those spaces? There is dozens and dozens of abandoned spaces in these neighborhoods. But you know what I can tell you is also in these neighborhoods? A lot of people sucking up the Black dollar and none of that money going back into the Black communities. None of the Black organizations, grassroots organizations in those communities, you don't see the Arabs or the Asians giving us money, but we paying for Chinese food every day. We going to the corner stores every day, but none of that money is refunded back in our communities. I'm just being honest. I'm not saying something that's weird to me. Okay. Nobody's even supporting the Black businesses in our communities. Those things is going extinct. So it's important while we do this ethnographic work, this study work, and tell y'all like, yo, we've been doing that. We've been really studying about the 7 neighborhoods and the disproportionate systematical racism within our neighborhoods. Next slide, please. And now I want to share with you that right here is our ask. We trying to do a plan. We trying to do this 2 to 3 year capital campaign vision and organizing plan. These are 3 phases. We have a planning phase where we're just trying to understand what we need to do. What is our ideas? The second phase is launching those ideas. And the third phase is evaluating, did we even reach those goals based on the ideas that we came up with? And that's as simple as that. That is what we are here to do. We are here to ask folks, can you support in this planning phase? Can you help with what is the specific processes that we need to take so we can obtain, I don't know, $3 million. I don't know, 500,000 acres. I don't know what we need to do. How are we gonna get our H.O.L.L.A space? I'm not no realtor. I don't know law. Law is a lie. Y'all know that. So that's what we saying, like, how do we get this? You know what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? How do we get this space? How do we get us a space? And how do we understand these phases of the next 2 to 3 years and what needs to happen so we can obtain that space through this campaign?
You want to back the other slide? Or you
Yeah, no, go back. So now we're gonna do our brainstorming session. And I don't even think we need, and I just want to make sure if my folks on Zoom, y'all hear me clearly? Yes.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna do any breakout groups because we're supposed to have much more folks here. But I think as we all are here, we could just share. We could just share. Can you do the questions?
Well, let me just say one more thing too, man, to that. So just to be a little more clear, planning grant. So we got a bunch of people that said that, I don't know how to do financial analysis, but they're like, Corey, you want to wait to September? We could do it we got a 6-month program. Maybe we could do some of it then. So we got people that want to help, but they like, somebody, we got that person like, I got a modeling. But that's a lot of work. That's $40,000. Q is on the phone right here. So Q could talk more about that too. We like, cool. So we talking to funders. We like, we got planning money. What is planning money? How much planning money do you need? We need planning money. We got Cole on the phone. How much do it cost to be a campaign organizer? We building a plan for 6 months. We need to think about fundraising. We need to think about promotion. We need to think about different committees. We need to have food and a place to meet every month. We need somebody else to make the PowerPoints. Save all of the Google Docs, make all of the calendars, email you all so we don't gotta keep doing that. Can we get somebody to email you all and calendar that so we don't gotta keep doing that? So we need a planning phase. So we need lawyers to be like, yo, I know a lawyer, or I'm down to join. We need funders to be like, oh, I'm down to talk more, or I'm in. What's the grant? What's the budget look like? Give me some questions. What is in the planning? We need some people to say, yo, I could volunteer. I know a friend. We got a lot of people, Nigel couldn't make it, Christine, an older retired Brooklyn real estate person who just traveling off, who can spend a lot of hours just talking to us. So part of it is saying, how do we organize some of that with somebody to keep all these dots going? So that when we talking to you over here, which we don't know what you're breaking down about campaign organizer, that you talk to us about real estate, we like, how do those things talk to each other? And then we talk to our funders, we don't even got a budget because we don't even know what a campaign organizer costs. We don't even know what a real estate, we don't know what they need or what, so we can't even bring that together with our funders. Like, yo, listen, they will help us plan this if we pop up. So we want to have a space to talk about that together. And the goal is 8 months, 6 months after that first phase, we go into like a 8 months, 6 months phase of launching it. And we work really hard to try to get that space. I'll pass that.
No, definitely. And like I said, the goal today is to brainstorm, to figure out, to land on certain points. And so we asked, what questions, answers, feedback you have for this planning phase that we just mentioned? How can you play a part of the contribution of these phases? And who else do we need that needs to be in these conversations? What other networks do you think we can connect with? I've heard many people talk about, have y'all tapped into city funding? We didn't even get a name. So we need somebody to address what city funding you talk about. Where that at? We gotta get connections to city council, because we definitely need city council members to support H.O.L.L.A, to support sponsoring H.O.L.L.A, so we could get that kind of city funding. When we talk about capital campaign, we don't know no capital campaign managing. What does that take? What does that mean? When we talk about real estate, like we said, we don't even know. You've seen we need a gym, we need a garden, we need 3 breakout rooms. Is that 500,000 square feet? We don't know. So we need a real estate person, somebody who got analysis and expertise to be like, yeah, this is what y'all need. This is what it looks like y'all need to actually secure the work that we do. Because like I said, a storefront isn't enough. A storefront ain't gonna be enough. A storefront is not gonna be enough for sustainability. It's not gonna be enough for the possibilities. So we gotta understand that when we talk about what we need space, that y'all have this vision already of the things that we already broke down, that we can't go back and renege on our dreams. But like we said, we got to shoot for the moon. Don't have us shoot for the ground.
Talk about it.
So, this is just our brainstorming session. And we want to just, anybody want to open up and just start with where you at. What you feeling in your spirit? What is going on, like, to these questions, to what we bringing to you?
I think you probably be the only Black owner of commercial and residential real estate in one of the few left in Brooklyn. I think, and being and owning real estate since 2001 in this area, I think one of the things that I'm hearing, and I see where you guys are going, because I know you're going to get there.
Talk about it.
I think this is a great planning session, but I think what you need to really hone in on what it is at heart that you want from a property, because obtaining a property and sustaining a property, you live and breathe it. Mm-hmm. It's in your veins. Mm-hmm. So, to really not picture it in the sense of the 4 walls, but the life of it. What is this property going to bring to me? Because it's in your veins. Because we can tear down the walls and make it look any way we want a property to look. But that's one of the thinking sessions that you collectively should do together and really hone in and get there. Because once you get that in your veins, then it's easier to now have this next set of discussions and say, well, man funder, Mr. Funder, this is what we want. This is what we need. This is what we're going to sustain and pass to generations coming down.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I think also, also, in terms of the narrative, we have done like 1,000 circles without a brick and mortar home. And so it would be good in terms of showing the need to have those permanent space, to be able to say how you've been sort of hindered in your efforts to have these circles without the space. Right? So it's hard because we want to talk about the great success that you've had. But you don't want people to say, well, it looks like you're fine without space. So it's like, why is that that would be absolutely essential for you to have the space in order to realize your potential as facilitators of this process. But more importantly, why is it essential for the communities and people that you serve that you have a space? And you know, it would be good if you could frame that narrative in a way in which the audience feels like they have no choice but to help you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that you have to be clear. I think if your vision is clear of what you need the space for and how the space can impact and increase your impact, like how the space, having the space will impact your work, and how having the space will increase your reach, increase your impact. That is what needs to be clear. Like that vision has to be clear, and only y'all can do that. Once you identify what your needs are with the space, so first the vision, right, and what you're hoping to get, then the needs that will be met through the space. Like you say, I need breakout rooms, I need this is why, this is why, this is why, everything that you need. I think that that's it. The other thing I wanted to say is that a number of my partners that are now acquiring property. Like this is a new kind of thing for this level of our movement. Like that wasn't a thing that we were able to do. What they have shown me is that, and I'm speaking this as a person who's renting, right? So let's be real clear. But what they have shown me is that if at all possible, mixed use of space is the best, because if you can get space that has some commercial use, and then the rest of that use is yours, then your tenants will be helping to pay your mortgage. And so that's another thing that I think you should think about. Like, what kind of other organizations would you like to be hosting in your space? Or do you think could be generating income that could help pay your mortgage? And so if the mortgage can be paid by those who are leasing some other parts of your space, then actually owning the house is not going to be taken away from your ongoing resources. Yeah, so that's the other thing that I wanted to say. I also feel like it's really important to explain the significance of place-based organizing. So we're talking about, we have these 7 neighborhoods, right? But just like you started out by talking about the importance of home and having a place like to go back to, I feel like some of the work that's being done by those people are partnering with, like in the collaborative, the IPB collaborative, is that people know this is where this organization is. They know this is where, if I need help, this is where I can go. If I don't, even if they don't know how to do this thing that I want, or they don't do it, they may know where I can go to get this thing done. And having that in a community that has a history of trauma and exploitation and abuse is a very important thing. Just like having your grandma, knowing where grandma lives and being able to get to her place if something's going down in your house is really important. So I think that the narrative of that should be developed a little bit more. Like you started with it, and I think you could go even further if you think about that. Like this is the place I go if I have somebody charged me with some BS. But they may not, y'all are not defense attorneys, but you will have a connection with somebody who you know they can talk to, or at least they'll believe that that's the case.
So Leah, hi, this is the
place-based connection is really, really important. Y'all and your own visioning is really important. Thinking about mixed use is really important, and what the plan is to maintain it. That's just one idea for a plan. Maybe you decide that you think the whole building is what you need to be able to do, but the plan, you can identify that what you need in the plan is the way that you want to be able to maintain the building, right? And so that said,
I feel like the last thing is clarity on what you're trying to accomplish over the next 3 years. Now, yes, a planning grant for this is critical and important. I'm not disputing that. And I do think you need to put a lot of resources into doing this well. But what I'm saying is the work that you've done, what you've achieved over this last, even 5 years, right, is amazing. What is your plan for the next 5 years in terms of what you're going to be doing with community and how that connects with your vision? To me, that is the thing that is going to.
That's related to like what you said.
That's going to right. That's going to compel people to want to be part of that vision. If you really clarify, this is what we see could be done if you gave us this book. This is what we want to accomplish. We want to do this many more circles, or we want to take the circles to this level, or we want to teach people power mapping and how to use their energy of what we taught them to impact their local community with the city council and this and this. Like whatever it is that thing is, or what series of things that is, that vision or that map for your next few years should be really clear. Mm-hmm. Besides the building. And then the building will be how it helps that happen.
Anybody on Zoom want to share?
Hi, this is LaQuasia. Hold on.
Sorry. Let me make sure. Nope. You hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
The speaker. Hey, Ross, the speaker. Hold on for 1 second. The speaker. I just want to make sure we hear her. Make sure. It's off. Sorry, Q. Let me just wait because we having some technical difficulties over here.
You can't talk. They can't hear from there.
I can hear you.
You can hear.
I can hear.
Yeah. I guess we'll try to hear you.
Okay. So, like to really piggyback off of what Leah said about, providing basically like not only would this be a safe haven for young people to go to, like to have a place in the community. I think that it would be profound if H.O.L.L.A was to develop like a resource hub, even though y'all don't do direct services, y'all organize. But a resource hub will also put you at the organization at a different level where you're able to provide resources for young people, even if some young people are not organizers, right? Or they don't have that type of interest, they still should be able to go to H.O.L.L.A building to get a resource.
Yes.
Can you repeat?
They still should be able to go to H.O.L.L.A and get assistance with filling out a college application. So basically, like to make the building a one-stop. So basically, like to make this building a one-stop place for a young person to get services and also learn about who they are as a person and as an individual and how they can contribute to their community. I think, that's what y'all do. You know what I'm saying? Y'all good at it. Like healing is the number one thing. A lot of these young people just want a place to heal, a place where they feel like they are their own person. They can be who they want to be and explore other options as long as they are presented to us. Some people, us that's on this call that are formerly incarcerated, we always wanted, as a young person, we always wanted to go somewhere to belong, a place where you are whole. And I think, with that, I think I should lead with that also. That's just my input.
And I'm liking just some of the thoughts that we just hearing. I'm liking some of understanding the narrative and who it's also coming from is important. Mm-hmm. As y'all seen in the video earlier, we could have brought many of our young people here if y'all wanted to hear some of that too. We could have had London up in here just saying like, yo, and these is, and I don't think most, but we be saying our program is from like what? Like 12 all the way to 28. So we literally, and we even got younger, you understand? Like we got one of our youngest people, probably like 9 years old. 9 years old, we've been building with him, giving him political education, teaching him how to heal, how to grow, how to love. We the only Black men in his life.
To that point, to the other point is to the place-based organizing. And also to what Grace was saying, and I think that's so important in our narrative because we talk about the 7 days we taught young people, but we serve the service provider. All the people that hail do the healing justice, they be texting us, calling us to do the service and to work through negotiations. And I could just, I could just imagine if we had a spot that every day everybody could just knock on. It's kind of like selling drugs. They see it's like, oh, they here. It's gonna be here open, and we will probably be here 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning, 12 at night. So they'll learn quick, like they here. So I think that's really important. Thinking about the place-based. I think about Andre James. Like when I said, I just seen so many words and so many stories. Hyper-local. That's kind of what we just ain't saying it. That's what it is. So I appreciate it.
So a couple of thoughts. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We're kind of talking. So I think, what you brought up is important. Tanya, I think how you want to use the space, is really important. Just kind of thinking I need rooms that can hold a circle this size, or I need a conference room, or I need 4 workstations, or how many you need, and then also thinking about your growth and I see you might have 8 full-time staff, so we need a space for them. So I think that's important. So I think use, thinking about use is important, but I also think considering what your short and long-term goals are, just not being a Debbie Downer, but trying to get a freestanding space in the city is just a huge undertaking that could take years. And so I think just understanding where you're going to go in the short and long term. So in the short term, you might think about renting while you're sort of building up to actually getting your own space. Rent a small space, you need to then be able to demonstrate to your, to everyone, your stakeholders, what the space can actually do for you. And so now we're going towards this larger space too. I think the other thing too is you might want to speak to other organizations who've done this. One that comes to mind is Brotherhood Sister Soul. That they just basically they for a long time had a brownstone that they owned, and then was able to tear it down and build a freestanding space.
Wait, they tore the brownstone down?
Yep. They have a whole new. They have you should go there. Before COVID, but they have a whole brand new building.
We never really kick with them. We love to meet with them.
Yeah.
We know they work. We just never.
But I think that took 10 years from start to get to the process of tearing down the brownstone, building the new facility. But they just did ribbon cutting a long time ago. So yeah.
And I was going to say North Henderson, we go to New Orleans, George.
I know. I need to talk. I'm going.
George and Dorothy, California.
The road in New York.
Yeah.
CCFY too, right?
Yeah, the Heart community.
I thought they had a plan of this Heart community.
The Heart Community Center that they're just about to open in the Bronx, I believe.
Oh, I don't know.
But this is great. I think just getting some of that understanding, we definitely talked about that. Me and A-Ross, all of us probably was arguing about that many times. Yo, they want us to get a small space so they can know what we doing, how we could do it, and all that. It's what is the formula?
But that's the thing.
You got it. It's almost like you had a
living in your brother's apartment, you know, and now you need a studio apartment, and you want a big house, and you'll get there. But in the meantime, you don't want a storage unit, you know.
Exactly. We can't go back to our grandmother's basement.
Where you can do a group for 20 people, not 60, you know, and then middle, because then you'll show your credibility, you'll show you're responsible, you pay your rent, you know, and that will help in your effort to build secure. It doesn't mean you have to stop that effort for a while. But in the meantime, it's much quicker to rent a space that's not, it's just on your way.
No, we just probably gonna be organizing crazy.
Before you buy a house, they want to see that you pay rent. Like they don't want you going from your mom's house to a brand new house. They want they want to see that you pay rent, that you took care of it before you buy the house.
And they don't get property or landowners to people who just new at it too. You probably got some.
I mean, I think that you can. There's still things you can do to kind of strengthen your thing. Like you can take classes on ownership, on management, on things that will help people understand that you're learning these things. But there's nothing that's going to compare to having had some sort of rental responsibility that you were able to meet as a demonstration of your ability to manage a property. They're going to want it.
Any more? I know Q, Cole, Tia, just want to give y'all some space to chime in here.
And it's also possible that you can do like a partnership, right? So like there are more than one organization that's looking for space, depending on how big it would be, they might rent that space, separate it, but rent that space together, and then to something that you want to buy. But you have to do the thought process because your brain is thinking, I want to buy, and then you rent, and you feel like I'm selling out or something. We don't want that sort of thinking as well. So we want to be able to have these conversations. Yep. Renting is not a step down. It's part of the process. It's part of the process. It's part of our thought because we don't want have any negativity go into the space. So in the planning process, let's be able to talk these things through. Because, sometimes people say, well, I'm going to go stay with my mother temporarily, and then they end up there 10 years and they're fighting in the house, fighting in the house, and things happen. But if we're able to talk this through and keep you guys' mindset at a base that says, okay, I'm ready to own or whatever, but it is not disturbing the peace. That's another. But we don't want to disturb the peace in this process.
Thank you. I just want to share some. I believe Cole had to go, but Cole said, "Hey there." So I agree that having a clear vision. He said, "Hey there." So I agree to having a clear vision for the space. It's important to start at an entry point of scale. What is the minimum amount of space you need for the next 5 to 7 years? And focus on what you can acquire that is accessible. Organizations grow, but you don't need a 15,000 square feet space now, a 15,000 square feet space now. You need something you can grow into over that time frame. I think you will be in a 4 to 10,000 square range based on what you will have shared, what we have shared with them. You will need to plan to raise the purchase amount plus 30% for contingency, closing costs, and unexpected costs as well. LoopNet is a great site to look at for prospective buildings to get a sense of what's out there. I definitely agree that mixed use is the way to go. You will need to map out your goal/vision for the building and then work with real estate experts to get a gauge of an amount. You should have 30 to 40% of the total raise before you launch the public campaign. On the conservative side, 50% in crowdfunding campaign should be the last big push.
What he said was right, and that was a good point.
Yeah, I agree with that. Crowdfunding can help too. People will want to help you get space. If you're really clear about what you want to do, they hear that. They'll try to do it.
But there are also ways other than buying, privately owned commercial real estate to get space in the city for nonprofit work. Like there are city-owned buildings that are, like affordable housing being developed with, ground floor space that they are required to give, to the nonprofit community. And there's other, ways. I'm not savvy on all of the way they are, but that it's worth exploring. How to get a space without actually having to, get a mortgage and figure out how to raise the money.
Yeah, and there's also some people who do grants that are
we do PRIs,
yeah,
which is it's called a program-related investment, where essentially we help with like finance a building project, and we're paying basically Trinity back, which is a bank at a lower, often at a lower rate,
which is important now. It's going up.
Tia and Q, I just want to, host some space for y'all. I really appreciate that y'all just been here with us too. So just want to hold space just to hear from y'all, please.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what's being said. And that I was going to mention, as April, I think, spoke about the community benefits agreements that developers are often held to. And, so speaking with district managers for different community boards, particularly if you're aware of the 7 spaces around this or neighborhoods that you're interested in working in, speaking to district managers to see if there's already prospective kind of like community benefits agreements for new developments that are going up, because a lot of them either give free or highly discounted spaces. Not a lot of them. Some of them give free or highly discounted spaces. We have one in Brownsville here that is looking for tenants, and so yeah, I think that's a route, but also just obviously their timeline then becomes your timeline for moving in. So the more accessible temporary spaces would be in the plan.
Hey, so I don't want to echo anything that's already been said, because I'm kind of like in the phase of like, what can I offer and how can I support? Because I know that when you're working on things this big, you kind of need less suggestions and more hands on deck and more skills on deck. So I'm kind of just I am attempting to explore how I can support you all directly, right? Like, what can I do? What can I bring? What bricks can I lay? Because more suggestions at this point just makes the bag feel a little bit heavier. And for the last 4 years, I've actually been managing a community space up in the North Bronx. So I sort of know that physical spaces are a different kind of beast. It's a co-working space, but it's also a community space. And I don't own the space. I rent the space, but there's also power in that, right? Because in just renting the space, I'm able to lend the space to other organizations and community groups. So with that being said, I would definitely, if you ever need a think tank up in the North Bronx, the Bronx Collab has you, but I'm just really looking at what can I offer directly, like what bricks can I support y'all with laying, opposed to just making more suggestions. So that's what I'm rocking on right now.
Thank you so much, Tia. Yes. And I think even thinking about your expertise in the ways y'all are using the space is definitely highly important. And even thinking about, I think being connected with folks who own these spaces, like the landlord, we was just the other day asking prices of like, what does people rent for grassroots organizations? We was asking Donna, like, yo, how much you paying for rent? We asking Shan Duke, how much y'all paying for rent?
I mean, I would love to offer, I can contribute to that part of the discussion, right? Because it's different everywhere in the city, but I've also learned a lot from holding this position. And I'm actually taking commercial real estate classes because too many folks need space and not enough folks know how to dissect it, right? So that's particularly why I'm interested in vibing with y'all. But I hear you, and I would love to contribute more solutions to those questions.
Thank you, and definitely going to spin back about that. Anybody else want to share? I feel like we definitely got a lot. We definitely got a lot to chime in about.
Can I ask y'all a question? I know how big y'all are, and y'all are very particular who fund y'all, right? And I get it, and so am I. Have y'all ever considered going towards corporate funding? That's a different type of funding that'll put you in a different bracket as far as acquiring the space, having funding for the space. Have y'all considered that as well?
I don't know about haven't or have. I think one, Q, it's like three of us. So it's literally like three of us in the organization as directors, leaders, ED, whoever, and facilitators and organizers. And we got three other organizers that we are bringing into as organizers and facilitators. So, I feel like corporate is you need a whole probably 1,000 staff. Is that 20 people? Is that 30 people? So I feel like we don't even know what that means to go corporate.
That's not true. That's incorrect information. Even H.O.L.L.A. Legacy is seeking corporate funding. And we're small, we're not big, and we still, we out here. So, it doesn't matter how many people you have on payroll or whatever the case may be, you can still obtain corporate funding. It doesn't matter. As long as you have that 501c3, which I have, y'all have been established for over 5 years, y'all can aim for that type of funding. And, we can get on that's another meeting that if y'all want to get on with me, most definitely we can, push ideas around.
No, of course.
You guys need a development person and a consultant. You need just speaking from someone who, our system is these. I would like to throw it in the river every day. But you gotta have someone who can do those things and do them on time and just keep the funding you have going and then figure out who to reach out to. You guys are the lead. When it comes to the meetings and sitting down and sharing the vision, you're gonna do that job. But you can have someone setting all that up behind you, so that it all gets done and on time. And you can start by just hiring someone as a consultant. And there's some really great people out there who, they don't want to be stuff. They like to be behind you.
We need some definitely connections to that's on our radar.
You some of the people with money coming in to buy yourself, consultant because it's really important to have all those ducks in line. And as you start getting space, the paperwork is and it doesn't have to be just development. It could be administrative, office, back office, administrative and development combined.
You speak our language, we definitely thinking about it.
Who I've always been impressed with is GMAC and Shandu. He has a back office team of women who help him run that organization.
Honestly, be the women who
do the most. There are a strong group of people that run that organization.
Definitely contact with GMAC. Jennifer from Focus for Health, I just want to share some of her thoughts too. She was saying,
Jennifer was good. Was good.
Exciting conversation. I reached out to a real estate person I know to see if she is available for brainstorming. Also, if you want to speak to Tanya Fields from BFP and how she secured the Alice Fields Community Center, I'm happy to facilitate the connection.
You know who else is really good? I was thinking to hook you up with is Jeremy Cohenbaum, who runs Children's Village, which is just a giant
huge
social service agency. A-Rox, you know that.
Greenwich Village?
Children's Village. His name is Jeremy Cohenbaum. He's like the president. I mean, they must have like $100 million budget. They have residential facilities.
They reached out to us to do training.
But he's really good at real estate.
They got internal housing, right? They got housing.
Yeah, I'm sure you probably have been there. Carl Johnson works for them. They do a bunch of work. But Jeremy, the head guy, he has he's like opening real estate up all the time.
We did the training with them with the Archers program.
Yeah, probably maybe there.
On 127. 27.
Wait, do you know him?
I don't know if I know Jeremy personally.
I
know Carl.
Yeah, you know Carl, but I know Jeremy, and I can ask him if he will. I mean, I don't know how relevant it is, but I watched him just open like housing facility and housing, and he really has
a. So definitely, I think this is good. I feel like, I don't want to hold off anybody any longer. I think we built a lot. We got a lot out of this. If anybody want to share some last closing thoughts, ideas, something they want to bring to the space that could support our next our efforts, please do.
I'm trying to figure out, I feel like there are some kinds of group planning grants. I'm just trying to remember who they are. I just don't think, I can't. But I think that's the next thing we need to research. And then the last thing I would say is you should check out, you should talk to Keisha Gibson. She's the person who runs our capacity building program. There's a discounted connection with these people who, the one of the sites that always tells you what grants are coming out. And so that has a lot of stuff that you wouldn't necessarily receive otherwise, but it has a lot of city grants in it and other stuff like that.
You know what chain it is?
She knows. I can't remember right now off the top of my head. I'm sorry. Or if I can talk to her, she'll tell me. But I know that the point is that CJI grantees have a discount on it. Because we have a deal with them that I'm sorry, my word retrieval is really bad.
It's okay.
Right? For the reasons I don't know. But I can also find out for you.
That's good.
And that would, I think you need some sort of subscription that's going to keep telling you opportunities.
Yes,
yes. That place that is supposed to be a really good resource, I don't know them personally, but we've heard really good things, is the Nonprofit Finance Fund. It's in the city, and it's a resource for nonprofits. We work closely with them, and I think, yeah, as a part of our.
That's with Robert?
Every community guarantee got a chance to work.
I think that's Robert. Yeah.
So they can help you too, actually.
We've been cooking. We was with FCFF. We had Dr. Madden. Dr. Madden was probably supposed to join. We got a lot of people that just giving us a lot of wisdom, man. A lot of times it be overwhelming for us too. A lot of times we like learn like, oh, you gotta look into all this. We start going to the rabbit hole, but we don't really know how to. We just learn. So yeah, we just it's hard to bring it back to So I think this is good though, man. I think
And I think there's certain parts we get stumped at too. We're just even hearing about maybe starting off at a small space and then expanding. We like, shoot, we don't even got no money. Why we spending money to be at a rental space where, where when Corey and A-Rox ain't even get paid. So there's many levels of us just figuring out what is the flow, what is the hope, even to know that in part of this hoping is also in the struggle. Knowing that like we already been struggling, doing programs, giving love, all these possibilities, but then saying, okay, we may have to struggle 5 years being in a rental space and going through whatever that means to then get the dream space. So knowing that we about to have to go through another struggle again, it's hard for us to understand too.
And our incubations be jobs. Our incubations literally be salary. When we work at the center, we didn't pay space, but we literally we sweeping the floors, we running all the meetings, we doing all the youth program. Even at the People Church, we gonna be building with them. So it ain't just like people giving us space. It's bargaining. We organizing. It's like, yo, we do circles. Like, yo, we can help lead. So we
exactly.
So we definitely those dollar signs, man. Cause they our training is a lot of money. Our time is a lot of money. And I think what I'm hearing is I think that's part of the plan in my head. I don't know. We strategize.
I wouldn't think of it as
we need a little space. We need to keep growing. I think part of the plan is to keep growing.
I wouldn't think of it as another struggle. I would try and think of it as the next step.
The next step, yeah.
It's a ladder that we're going to get.
But we see struggle as
it's all struggle.
Exactly.
But it's just another step up on that ladder to
exactly.
what you're trying to realize.
It's like a part of the journey.
It's a part of the journey.
In my head, I think that happens in 2023.
I mean, I don't know about you.
I think it does.
You know,
I think that's
no, definitely.
You can find something that's affordable and that can give you something to build on. That's great.
The other thing too is in terms of commercial real estate, there's an abundance of commercial real estate right now in New York City. Because so many companies have gone remote. Like if you renting an apartment right now is terrible. But renting a commercial space, there are so many. There are more spaces available than
people trying to rent right now.
And you can also sublet from people who are not planning to go back into their space where they still have to pay rent. Like I know some people who they still paying rent on places that they're not using because their staff is like, I'm going to do remote. And so there's
exactly.
stuff like that there. And then the last thing is that we never want to eliminate the possibility that someone can just give you space. Like I feel like that. Don't ever eliminate that.
Yo, the other day in the news, I'm looking like, yo,
I'm not saying that's gonna happen tomorrow, but I'm saying what you do is like, this is how I see manifestation, right? You clarify your vision for what you're expecting, and then you take the steps that move you towards your vision, even if you don't see the evidence of that yet happening.
Yes.
And that's when the thing comes, when Spirit makes it clear that you're ready for it, right? So you take the steps that are necessary, and you never know that could be interrupted with unexpected blessing at any point. But it can't happen if you're just thinking about, oh, it's so jacked up, you don't have a space. Then you're not going to get somebody to give you a space. You have to be putting the energy out of the light to talk about the space you're going to have. You have to be talking about the things you're doing to prepare yourself for the space. You have to do the things that are necessary to get you to that place, and then see what happens. And then it can come from many different roads, many different places, but that's the energy you want to put out there.
No, definitely.
Just like you started with that narrative about we got all this done with almost nothing, then you want to keep talking about what we're going to get done when we have the space.
And at the end of the day, you guys know it's not about the space. It's
about us, right? It's about us.
Exactly.
At the end of the day,
what y'all doing?
There's some fabulous spaces out there that they really tell me work, and there's fantastic work going on in spaces that don't exist.
Like I said, I worked for 8 years on my kitchen table. I remember being under, like me, Charlene, at a Barnes and Noble or in her kitchen table or whatever for a long time before we actually shared a little space at Asian American Writers Workshop. And then from there, we had one room with no windows.
Yeah.
And then we went to Greece. That was like, we were like, woo! Then we moved to a bigger room there. And now we have a space here. And we're not coming back.
Just a quick heads up, too. We got two of our critical funders, Trinity and Pinkerton, in the building. So we're about to launch our 24-month process at the end of the month.
Good.
At the People's Church.
Yes.
This is our curriculum for the first 6 months. the legacy curriculum. It is so beautiful. It is so beautiful. I should have bought y'all both a copy to have. I'm just thinking like we only got one copy here.
What?
But it's six chapters. It's 6 chapters in the curriculum.
I might have to bring y'all to come do mine.
In your video.
Do mine at the CJI with our staff.
I like looking at it.
Appreciate that.
So we looking forward to that, man. That's another thing too. We've been gaining a lot of support with our 24-month process. People have been supporting it. And I think this is also part of our campaign as well. So we definitely want to circle back to you all once we get some clarity, because we circling back, you know, we organize, we texting, we emailing. We're going to ask people, what are you committing to? What can you support more with? We're going to start writing up ideas about you know, after talking to people, Cole is a really important person, man. I wish Cole could have said a lot more.
Yeah, he kind of gave you a lot of good advice.
Yeah, Cole, we was trying to get Cole to be our campaign organizer. We like, Cole, we need you to be our campaign, but Cole's like, I'm doing the most. I'm doing the most. So I think we need a campaign organizer. Yeah, I know he knows somebody. If y'all know a campaign organizer, if you know somebody that's dope, please connect us to a campaign organizer.
But I'm not sure what you said.
Right, it's like that's what y'all are doing.
I'm not sure that's, I mean, I'm not sure that's what you need.
Yeah. I think these phases is what we're trying to do.
Maybe it's a different name, a name of the
when it comes to your head, what do you mean by that?
Say that again. I'm about to ask you to say something.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm not sure. Let's see if I can articulate my feeling. I think that you know what you need is someone. I mean, when I think campaign organizer, I think there's some legislation that the campaign to go beyond rosies, or and it's like you have organizers who what organizing means is a certain thing, and I agree that you need to get organized to get space.
Yes.
But I'm not sure that if you put out a word that you want a campaign organizer, you're going to actually, people are going to understand.
Is capital campaign organizer different than the campaign?
Yes.
That's what we mean, capital campaign.
Okay, that's different.
Yeah, capital campaign organizer.
You don't need a capital campaign.
Gotcha.
You are not ready for a capital campaign. Like even post it, you need like to raise 50% of money, 30, 40.
That's what Cole was saying.
You have to have something.
So what you need is somebody. You need like a strategic planner who can work with you guys to come up with a plan of how you're going to get this thing.
That's what we talking about. That's what I would call a campaign, capital campaign organizer. So that's a planner. So we need a planner.
For the plan.
So we need a
strategic planner.
So we need a strategic planner. That's
so
what
this is what happens. It's just
Thank you for that, lady. We need a strategic planner.
So the strategic planner, what they do is they say, okay, we're going to talk about what H.O.L.L.A is trying to get done. Mm-hmm. This is all the pieces that we have, and then the campaign. The capital campaign is just one part of it.
He takes that.
It's not the whole thing, because that's not all y'all are. No, not just a campaign for the building. That's just one of the pieces of a larger strategic plan. Mm-hmm. So what you need is a strategic plan to take place, which is a one-off. It's not an ongoing job. It's just a one-off. To have the plan. Then when you have the plan, you can hire a person who's going to run that with y'all. And you can also have a separate person that's doing the capital thing, or how that works is different. But at least if you're clear with, if you go through this process,
that's what we're saying. Now you keep going. That's
if you go through this process with strategic planner, they're gonna say, okay, what's your vision? Where are you trying to go? What will you need to get there? How will you get there? What's the strategy to get there, right? And so then you're going to lay all those pieces out. All of that clarity is what's gonna help you get the funding for the rest of the work that you're doing, while you also have this person helping you raise money for the edifice. Yes. Right? Uh-huh. So that's a different thing. And both of those things should work together. Yep. This capital campaign should work in a larger strategic plan.
I'm so used to when I was just merging them. I'm like, they like to say, but yes. So one is, and then one takes that on. I'm thinking capital campaign is the person also making a vision to us.
Let me tell you what I'm trying to do right now. We did a campaign, a whole community campaign. This is separate from to do, well, kind of, but to save this abolitionist building, right, downtown. You heard about this downtown, and on right near Albert Square Mall on Abolitionist Place that used to be Duffield Street.
I need to learn about that.
Oh my God. Okay, anyway, long story. They tried to demolish the building. I organized, reached out to some community organizers. We did some demonstrations. We targeted Landmark Preservation Commission, got it on the agenda, got it funded. Got it okay, right? Where they preserved the building. Then, so the city bought the building from the owner after they had been the ones pushing for it to be bulldozed because they tried eminent domain with Bloomberg, and the sister that ran Mama Joy was an organizer. She saved it. Okay, here we have this abolitionist house, right? But right now, we just got to C3 because we have to raise money to hire a person to help us. We have to do a strategic plan so that we can raise money to hire a person who's going to do all the communication and admin work while we come up with an artist that's supposed to do a rendering of what the building's going to look like and a fundraiser to help us raise the money to renovate the building. And that is going to come from a whole bunch of different sources. But first, we need a strategic plan so we can say to everybody who talks to
we need.
That's exactly what we're
this
talking
is
about.
our plan. This is what we're trying to do.
Got you.
And then people buy into the plan.
I got the language. I got that. That's beautiful. You was about to say something else as well, Tosh? Sorry.
No. I'm trying to write what I was going to say. Oh, I think I was going to say, going back to like having some support for the development stuff would be so helpful because you know what? It'll take that off your plate.
Yeah.
And then you'll just be approving stuff, saying things are correct and moving on. Because I feel bad emailing y'all. I'd be like, these people do so many things.
We feel bad.
Now I need to tell them that I need this thing again.
Definitely told Corey.
Yeah.
That's cool. I appreciate you. It's cool you can email. I appreciate that. Thank y'all. So on Zoom,
so we have to give these back to you, or we get to keep them?
So listen,
we got you.
You should explain the book.
Oh no!
We're gonna get if y'all want copies, I can get you a copy. I get you. I'm printing at my home tonight to get it ready for the young people. Can we say bye to people on Zoom before y'all leave? Or the Zoom left already? So Zoom, we tapping out, man. If y'all got any one word, any phrases you want to give to the space, or if you just want to sign out, you good too, man. But thank y'all for coming in, and we're gonna follow up with more texts and emails.
Sounds good. Great job. I'll see you later. Very smart people in the room.
Also, I wanted they lost.
I thought so right about this. We said right over there. We're trying to get some young people to do a survey as a community because our point is how have we? That's a H.O.L.L.A shirt. Yeah.
Long
You
John?
just can't. No, I just put it.
Oh, I was just like, yo,
Wait a minute.
That. I was like, let me get those.
You had me thinking about it for a minute.
No, but I want to talk to you because our position is that how is it that we grew up in New York City public schools, so many of us, I didn't, but anyway, and they never taught that that downtown Brooklyn was a hub of the abolitionist movement, that Ida B. Wells came here when she was being targeted by white supremacists because she was trying to do her campaign of making lynching against the law, that she was being hounded by white supremacists after they killed her friend, and she was held here in New York. And Harriet Tubman used to come here to raise money so she could go back down south. That all these things happen here in New York, in Brooklyn, not just in New York, but in Brooklyn, and nobody told us. And this house here is a place where they used to hold underground railroad. So it was a stop on Underground Railroad, and they were still trying to demolish it.
Right here.
On Duffield Street.
I don't know where that's at, but I'm about to go find it right now.
If you look it up, you'll see abolitionist place. So anyway, so my point is, how did they not teach us that, right? How did you not know that? So our point, so right next door is a park. We're trying to make the abolitionist place park. And we have like people set to try and do like some sculptures of some of these Black women that fought for this space. And the EDC, the Development Commission, they're trying to take it out. Like they want to put some crazy, like, avant-garde, like impressionistic art in the park, with everybody wants it to be like reflective of that period and have more information. So that's the next fight. That's the next fight. But we got the house. Now the city has to just stabilize it, and then the next thing is the renovation. But what we want to do is a survey. We want young people to help us do surveys.
I'm dope with surveys.
With the people in the area
I'm dope
to
with
show
surveys.
that everybody wants it to be Abolitionist Park Place, and that people want to know more about it, because we feel like this is one of the few times when you can get corporate entity and community to be in agreement.
I would be down.
Which is about, yes, this could be a draw for people to come into this house and see this abolitionist place, know the history of this activist who fought off Bloomberg and stopped eminent domain, won in a court case. Like, this is like something that people would want to know, right? So
that's dope. I want to be a part of the team. Can I be a part of that methodology team? Can I be a part of that methodology team? We are doing the exact same thing. We building a museum. So we just throw that in the middle. We are building a museum. We got a lot of artifacts already. We've been traveling all around the country to historical sites. Just like that's why we like with that. We learned about 1712 on Wall Street.
Yeah,
they don't even teach. They don't even.
Well, that was the thing, but that's the thing that people don't get. It's like, while this was an abolitionist hub, it was also the financial capital of slavery, because this is where all the insurance was being underwritten for those ships, for the slaves, for the enslaved people.
New York Port was popping.
Yeah,
the port in New York was popping.
All of that was happening. So these people doing this were fighting against the tide of all this corporate white supremacist capitalist oppression and being targeted, because remember the year that house was built was the year that the whatchamacallit went into effect, the oh God, why can't I remember the name of it? You know, the law where you have to turn in a person who's been enslaved, or you're now charged.
Oh, when they said the Fugitive Slave Act.
So that's the year the house was built. And there was a connection between that house and the one next door. So if the police came knocking on one door to do it,
this is fire.
Move them into the next house. It's
Brian Stevenson and the Equal Justice Initiative. We did that like throughout Montgomery. There's like
we need to talk to him too.
Yeah, that's what actually I'm hoping to meet with Deborah Rothschild, because she helped do the planning for that Legacy Museum that we're going to try and get to see.
We need to get in that.
So we're trying to get like people there to help us with this building. Yeah.
We
just had a meeting last week with Weeksville people, and this is all like
Weeksville is one of the tours we trying to do too. We were just trying to do a tour of Weeksville.
This is not my day job. This is just my community organization.
I'm down to be a part of that. I'm down to be a part of it, because what I'm thinking about is political education with the survey. Yes. So I'm not thinking just like a survey. I'm thinking like it's a whole circle process that you learn about the history of this building, and because a lot of us can't take a survey without no knowledge. You just be reproducing the system.
No, but
if we don't got no knowledge, we're gonna just be like, oh yeah, lock them up. Oh yeah, people are bad people.
At times like this, when there's literally legislation in this country that is putting a bounty, giving people a bounty for turning someone in to get reproductive justice.
I was like, that came to my mind.
That is the time that we need to be reminding people.
So basically,
reminding people of our history of resistance.
The Texas, the abortion.
I've been hearing about that.
So all the things where you can turn someone in. Yeah, basically, brought me back to the abolitionist.
If you drive someone,
turn them,
give them money.
This is if you let a woman have an abortion and get turned in.
Yes, and someone
you don't get charged. But worse than that, there's a bounty. So if I heard that you drove someone to get an abortion, that I can get money from the state if I turn you in for driving someone. That's some Nazi-ness.
Like, their husbands get in trouble if they don't turn their wives.
That's some Nazi-ness. crazy.
That's crazy.
Patriarchy is crazy.
So
I have to go too.
all right,
Thank you, everyone.
and we're about to.
Thank you so much.
You too.
Thank you. Thank you.
You too.
Thank y'all. Next time we see, we can talk about 450.
I know, I gotta read it.
All right, I want material 2 for it.
Huh?
I want material 2.
Nah, definitely, man.
Now we hearing about museum stuff, all of that.
Yeah, I'm just like.
No, this is important. We
I'm
definitely.
down to be a part of that team. That sounds dope.
I will definitely bring you on.
That sounds dope.
All those, that's also connected. Just us trying to get a space and doing our museum. So the IDB Wells, that's what I said. It was right over here. I seen the plaque.
I want to see that. That's what I'm saying, man. Everywhere is a museum, it's history all around us. Everywhere I go.
Well,
Everywhere.
a museum was created by these. Like we created a museum actually.
Is that IDB related to the same story you're talking about?
So there's a plaque.
I was just telling you that.
Yeah, right over there near the Chase building. You saw that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was there at the unveiling because they made IDB corner or something like that. But that's where she
That was just crazy.
What? Yo, this is crazy,
So
man.
we're trying to get, so we can get Chase to pay for his action.
Yo, you know what's deep? Chase is at Malcolm X, and they was trying to Chase is all. How come Chase get all these historical landmarks? How was Chase
Because the one that connected to they connect. They wait.
That's smart. That's another thing we've been trying to scheme on or learn about. Is there a way? Because we've been studying a lot of historical spots, and is there a way to like reclaim a space as a historical institution? We trying to build a museum. So I definitely got to. We got to talk.
On a petition. We got 17,000 signatures. That's why we won. We are the only one.
Sure.
First of all, we are the only.
Oh, I just want to be a part of their wave. I'm about to get a part of their wave.
We are the only one that was able to get them to do this. Like
That's important.
It was hard. That like first this is how it started. I was walking to my office. So you see now we're not here now. So I was walking down Duffield because I used to come up with it. Walking down Duffield, there's this old little building of a skyscraper hotel there, right? And I see a picture of Harry coming in. I'm like, let me go check this out. Harry, Tubman is my girl. I go check it out. I'm like, oh my gosh. It says that this house was part of this longer block that used to be an abolitionist hub. There were a whole bunch of abolitionists that used to live on this block. I was like, what?
That's the block we need to.
So then I look into it, and I was like, oh my goodness. And then I found out about Mama Joy. So then I found Mama Joy was this activist who used to be part of Fury. And I remember that I was one of the first funders of Fury in their first year of existence. So I was like, oh, this is Fury.
Like way back there?
Yeah, Fury.
Fierce?
No.
Yeah, I don't know Fierce.
You know, F-U-R-E. But if you look them up, anyway. So I was like, oh my gosh, I know this organizing. This is some fierce organizing. It's fierce, something united, or I can't remember. Anyway, so I'm like, oh, this is something else. So the next week I come by. So now I make it a habit every time I come up the train. I gotta go see that house, right? Next thing I know, I come back and there's a line of a thing across it like it's gonna be an addiction. So then I was like, no, something's right. So I go look it up on the building and I find, oh my gosh, there's an article about how it's supposed to be demolished. So I was like, what? I was like, no way. So then I start calling. I call Fury. I call Equality for Flatbush. I call various elected officials. I called the mayor's office. I was like this, and I was telling Anna, who was my assistant at the time, that she called into it. Next thing you know, I said, look, you know, so they're like, oh no, I don't know the history of that. And I called Eric Adams because he was the borough president. And I called Letitia James, she was the attorney general at the time. And I called, and then I found out, you know, because that's when I looked into it, I found out all this whole history, how they fought, and now how it was the eminent domain. Bloomberg tried to like tear all of those buildings up because he wanted to. Eminent domain, it means that the government is possessing, taking possession of your property, even because they say
nobody else is claiming it.
No, you could be living there. They're taking possession of your property because they say that it has a public interest. That's like what they did when they tore down those buildings to Philip Barkley. Yeah, that was eminent domain.
But there's so many ways that they use eminent domain there, right? It's not just one way. Like, I know that's why I said you get bigger.
So my point was, so this sister fought them. So
one thing, isn't the highways back in the days when they did white flight and they killed down the Bronx? Wasn't that domain? Yeah, I bet.
So she fought, this is the court. She went to court against him because what happened is Mama George. She went, so what happened is she went to they said that she said this house used to be never, and she had actual way to connect with a family who had been in that house and had the house built. So that was like a whole different thing. She even had them testifying from overseas about the purpose of the house. But anyway, the EDC, they lied. They gave this long report to the city council, and they said that they checked with all these people, and they said there's no historical significance to the house. So it was a straight up lie to the city council. But then they came back. Mama Joy did some search, some other people went into it, and when they came back, and all these historians came to the city council meeting, they just blasted them and said, they did not contact me. That's not what I said. They did not contact me. Or that's not.
Oh, so they was just lying.
Like, they went to all these historians, like in Columbia University, at NYU, and all these places. And they had said, yes, there's a historical significance here. No, usually, because they were trying to me, right, or that's not, you never contacted me, but you got me in the paper, that's a lie. Or I told you something different and you put it in the paper, that's a lie.
So, like that,
yes, because academics don't like to be lied on.
Nah, don't give me
no, that's a fact. Black academics.
Not publicly in the city council meeting. So they blew them up. But
is that public?
Yeah, it's all public record. I can send everything to you. But anyway,
all of that. I'm coming for it.
So they did all of that. So then
have an argument about the museum.
How long did this time frame was
this? Is a 20-year war that we won. It's unheard.
When you did that was 20 years ago. When you
no.
This is
the history. This is the 80s and the 90s. Anyway, so eventually what happened is it was ready for the demolition. The buildings department was about to approve the demolition. So we went to, what we found is that